Yo, listen up. Here's a story about a little dog that lives in a blue world. And all day and all night, and everything she sees is just blue, like her, inside and outside. Blue her dad, but a red little sister, and a red mum too, and everything else is blue for her, and herself, and everybody around. So we made this podcast. So listen, if you'd like to. It's the Hammer Barn Project. And hey, Frank.
Yes, Brendan.
I was thinking maybe a cool thing to do would be to...
Go very 90s?
Yeah, find like music songs, the music songs
Yep.
from the ages.
With words.
And with words, one of which the word could be blue, and then I just change it. Oh no, I forgot to do the... I was going to go, she's bluey, dabba-dee, dabba-die, bluey, ba-dee.
I think we got that part.
Yeah, and that could be a thing.
Mm-hmm. Could be.
It would be like the seamless beginning of an episode.
Totally. Let's do that in the recording and then just see how it goes.
See how it goes.
What do you reckon, Marty?
Should we start the episode or?
That might be a better idea than mine.
This episode of the Hammer Barn Project is called Role Model.
Normally your intros, Brendan, have some sort of tie-in to the episode, but I'm just going to come out and say it. This episode of Bluey is called Takeaway.
All the tie-ins, they were just 100% accidents. It was just, I was fluking it until now. This is the first time I've been exposed as...
So you're saying when you put some effort in, this is what happens?
Oh, yeah. Effort from me, bad idea. Every time.
Got it. Marty, would you care to give us the bare bones of this episode, please, mate?
Okay, so Takeaway is really a retelling of Samuel Beckett's play Waiting for Godot, where the titular character, Godot, is replaced by the concept of spring rolls. No, in reality, this is an episode about Bandit with Bluey and Bingo waiting for his spring rolls to be done, and things just getting worse and worse for Bandit as he tries to keep a handle on the kids.
You know what I think we need to do with Marty's bare bones? I think we need to challenge him each week to include a more aggressively more ridiculous word.
Yep.
Right? We've had Shakespearean, we've had Machiavellian, we've had titular. We'll come up with a word pre-recording, and then if Marty can work that into his ridiculously complicated first half of the bare bones, you get a point.
Okay, cool. And how do I cash in said points?
Oh, no, there was nothing like that.
Oh, okay.
This is not a rewards program.
Friendship.
Oh, I see. I will try and do that thing.
A little tidbit of interesting information. This is, maybe I'll put a drum roll in, or maybe I won't, the first episode I ever saw of Bluey.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep. I was around at my sister's house. This is Kelly, my immediately younger sister, and she had been telling me for months that I had to watch Bluey, and I thought, I'm sure it's lovely. I'm no stranger to ABC TV. I've been watching it for a long time, and I've been watching it for a long time after I grew to the age where not many people would be watching ABC Kids TV anymore. But, I mean, I don't have to tell you, Bluey blew me away more than anything else I'd seen in recent years. And yeah, Takeaway is just, for me, it was just like such a perfect showcase of, I guess, the chaos. I just love it. I don't know, there are other chaotic bottle episodes, but this show hit the ground running with me because of this episode.
The shop lady has a little bit of a cameo, but there's basically three characters in this entire episode. It takes place in the one scene. It probably serves as a pretty good intro, if not for the fact that there is no chili other than a voiceover on the phone. People who go, why are you a fan of this Bandit character? Yeah. This is probably going to be in that top 3 or 4 to show people and go, this is why Bandit is awesome.
Taking it all the way back to the top, I reckon we could have a 20-30 minute podcast episode about the opening shot.
Yeah.
In and of itself. The rest of the show teaches you about the characters, and just the opening shot teaches you about the quality and thinking and just level of detail the show is about, like the creators put into things. And I think for me, this comes back to your, Brendan, the for real life.
Yeah.
I think we've all sort of experienced like one of those 1980s blocks of takeaway places, and there'll be like a newsagent's next door or whatever it is. It's got that little bit of sidewalk in front. It's got the old stickers on the window, like the Diners Club stickers.
I knew you were going to mention the FPOS stickers.
The menu holder that you can tell is like old and plastic and yellowed. You can see through the door the take your own drink cabinet thing. Yep. The light bulbs going underneath, and one of the light bulbs is missing. The coloured light bulbs. You can just feel the dust encrusted spider webs that are up underneath.
Yes.
They've obviously gone out and done some scouting, but this is just so evocative of the places I used to go. On a weekend, it's after some sort of event, you go and get fish and chips or some other form of takeaway. And that was just such a nice thing we used to do as a family. Just the idea of it's dark, you got the headlights pull in, and this is the setup for, and I made the joke, it's like it is a play, and it's a play of 3 characters and a selection of objects that just kind of move around.
Well, I'd love to hear the Bluey's Brisbane podcast if they could find the exact takeaway shop this is based on, you know. That's very much their jam.
I think you would struggle because there'd be so many that would just be exactly like this. I think just like developer models that have been placed around the suburbs. But oh man, that would be a good challenge.
And let's shout those guys out because didn't they reach out to us when we had a bit of the query about the drinking fountain from the bike episode?
They did, yeah. So they got back to us. And,
Legends.
Yeah, the design of the drinking fountain is one that appears around Brizzy. So thanks to those guys for that. That's an awesome bit of info.
There you go.
I had a similar design in mind when I said that I thought I knew what it was, but the picture that they sent you, Marty, that you showed me,
it's spot on.
It's like, I'm like, oh no, I haven't seen. I thought, oh, maybe it's like one of these. No, it's that one.
So you know the art team are just taking things exactly as they are. So yeah, Frank, it's probably out there somewhere.
I want to see it. I want to do a tour of Brisbane. Someone needs to make it. You go around Brisbane in a big blue bus, you know, like they do with the Hollywood stars, but actual, this is Bluey's house, this is the drinking fountain, here's the takeaway shop. I want it. I want it all.
Yeah.
I've never had the pleasure of going to Queensland, but like I needed any other reason than everything that is just so attractive about it to me, because I do like four-wheel driving and I really want to go right up the top end. But oh man, I would quit my job for that.
For me, one of the other stars of this episode is Bingo's questions.
Yes.
And I think it's, as you said before, Brendan, it's kind of like they're like the classic questions, but they're just slightly different.
Yeah, because the classic questions are, you know, classic questions because everybody asks them, but no two kids are the same and no two ways of asking them are the same. And the show's just so consistently good at having this, I don't know how they make it so unique. When you see a cliche come back and back so many times, the problem there is you recognize it as a cliche. But when you take those cliches and freshen them up and put them in the mouths of these characters that you now know in that unique way, it just makes it all the more immersive.
They're not just spouting cliches that you've heard 100 times. They're saying it as a real person would.
As a real dog person.
As a real dog person.
There's only those words for it, like human and person, and it seems so silly to use them, but you can't say dog in those because they are so relatable.
That said, there are some really good moments in this episode where they play off the dogness of them.
Yes.
We've got the stay from Bandit and the collecting of the paper.
No wet dogs in cars.
Yeah, no wet dog. And even just the idea of wanting to take a shower under the tap.
Yeah.
Some beautiful dog moments in this.
Once again, blurring the line between
Yes.
playing, but in a sort of different way, because when the does the newspaper get blown off the table by a passing car or something, or it gets knocked off the table, Bingo straight away goes "Ruff," and goes and gets it and pretends to be a dog and gives it to Bluey, and Bluey's like, oh, gives her a little pat. It's obviously a game, but it's a winky wink.
And one of the things I completely hadn't seen before when watching this episode was that moment just before they start fighting over the chair.
Yes.
Because there's one chair and it's actually quite subtle. They just like look at one another and then they're scrabbling both to get on the chair. And it kind of happens twice. I think there's another moment where Bingo's trying to push back up on that classic sort of metal chair that's sitting outside the takeaway place with a single table.
The weatherproof chair that's just been through everything. Yeah, because I think Bandit comes out and then notices and then goes back in and then that happens again. The standoff for the chair. And is there like a little musical accompaniment to that? I'm going to have to watch that again because, I mean, Joff Bush is amazing. Yeah. And it just goes to show like the amount of times I might watch an episode so I can chat to you guys about it. And usually I'm not organized at all, but I had a little bit of free time this week. So, but I still don't know the episode as well as I now feel like I should know it to be able to talk like this about it.
One of the other things we've talked about before in relation to this episode is just like the main character of the spring rolls, or at least the nature of Bandit having this vice.
Your dad and his spring rolls.
Just like every dad has a vice, or every dad has that one thing. It's an irrational expectation that needs to be fulfilled, and they just hold on to it so tightly. Thus that line of your dad and spring rolls.
Yeah.
Nope, I gotta have them. The world is going to
negotiable.
bend. It's not negotiable. It's going to be 5 minutes of absolute craziness, but I'm going to get the spring rolls.
Yeah, the old classic spring roll MacGuffin.
That's my dad around some things, I think.
Yeah.
Like, never hang to pay for firewood. I think that's a definite.
As someone who had a fireplace for many years now, many years before I was a dad, mind you, never paid for firewood.
Yeah.
I'd sooner go for a 5k walk down the creek from my place to pick up as much as my wheelbarrow could carry all the way back to the house because I'm not paying for firewood.
Only got to burn it. I think we have spoken about that before and how Bandit's unshakable focus on getting these spring rolls is such a dad thing. And Bandit's such a chill guy, really. He always seems sort of ready to, oh, don't worry about it. Oh, she'll be right. He's such a laid-back dad. But all dads, no matter how laid back they seem to be, always have like a thing that might just flip them. Nothing's really important and like, no, it's all right, it's fine. But when the thing that's important to dad comes into the fray, it should be important to everybody. And that's the mark of all the dads I know.
Bandit in this episode as well. I think he's not in play mode. We're going to play the game of dad sits and reads.
Reads the newspaper.
Oh man, that's my brother-in-law Nico. In fact, it's Kelly's husband Nick. So this being the first episode that I saw round at Kelly's place, we're going to play Dad Reads the Newspaper is one of his most quoted lines. He says it all the time.
And just the way he gets slowly shunted out of,
Yeah.
First he's off the chair and then he's just kind of like scrunched up, sitting up against the wall.
Yeah.
And then he gets this newspaper taken away. Slowly stripped of all his dignity. Then the escalation.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
man.
progressive classic comedy sketch, more and
Reminds
more
me of a
elements
Mr. Bean
start to
episode.
interacting. Yeah. Layers and layers of stuff. The crows come in.
Yeah.
The it's a bush wee situation.
This is a really long week.
And the tension's just getting worse and worse. And the taps just going everywhere. And the music,
Yeah.
the music
Oh,
is just
definitely.
getting faster. I think
And the
pacing
kind of music
yeah.
it is, it's like a barn kind of folk jig, just getting like and this hazardous dance. I was watching it today trying to find my favourite line, like, it's a bushwee, or just, which way does it turn off? Oh, this is a really long way, bingo. Like, I'm trying to pick a favourite funny line that makes it, I couldn't, because it's just like boom, 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 boom.
There's a lot.
Bluey's when she's getting more and more worried about the amount of water.
Oh, the water will be up to the clouds. Like, that does it for me because it's chaos going on. And then I think ordinarily Bandit would like pick Bluey up on that and just go, mate, how can the water be up to the clouds? Like, do you know what clouds are actually made of? They're water.
Yeah.
But in the midst of everything else that is going wrong, Bandit's like, I don't have time for this.
Just escalates it even more.
Speaking of the water, who pays that water bill? Like, the shop lady doesn't seem at all fussed. And then she's like, oh, that looks like fun.
Yeah.
It won't be fun when the bill comes due, let me tell you.
I think it's like a strata thing. She can blame it on some of the other people in the strip mall.
Just like the newsagents next door.
Yeah,
On the
yeah,
other.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
washing all their books and stuff.
Because it looks like at about sunset. They probably closed at 5. So they don't have to know.
Bandit. It's not any of this crazy stuff. The fact that he's had, food spat on him, in fact, and he slipped over, all these sorts of things. It's Bingo's existential question about how did the first baby come about if adults are the only ones who have, which is, once again, a twisting of the where do babies come from line.
Yeah.
And just there's a moment where you just look at his pupils and then they just refocus slightly and then he abandons the
Right,
spring roll.
that's it. That's what breaks him and
that's
his
the
spring
last
rolls.
straw.
I did refer to his desire for spring rolls as unshakable before, but that is what shook it. It was mounting and mounting, mounting like everything else in the episode. But yeah, there was a point.
Quick little doggy treats. This is one of the first times we see a crow in the series, and it's referred to as Mr. Crow, which later on in season 2...
Sorry, I was just rolling.
You're rolling up the newspaper. Well, it's his doggy treats. That's the point of this segment.
Yeah. There's two very conflicting ideas: the roll-up newspaper and doggy treats.
But yes, Mr. Crow does make an appearance later in season 2, but we'll get to that.
In terms of Australian moments or like things that are particularly Australian, I do wonder whether that sort of strip mall layout is used in places outside of Australia. I know it's very typical. It's like classic 80s sort of Australian mode. In terms of other sorts of things, I think it's some of Bandit's lines in this absolutely perfect. It was like hang about and squirts, calling the kids squirts. I don't know. I don't feel like I've heard anybody else in the world say that.
With that affection kind of.
Yeah. And just the different ways in which the yeah mate is said.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, mate. No, mate. The extra level of communication that you get through the yeah, mate or the no, mate. Like, why would you think that that was something that you would be able to do? Why did you even ask me that question? No, you shouldn't be doing that. But you get that through 2 words.
In terms of Australian stuff, I'm pretty sure only in Australia does a can of drink cost you $5. Because that's a bit of a rip-off, just saying.
Oh, no, it was lunch and a can of drink,
Lunch
wasn't
and
it?
a can of drink for $5.
I think on the
So that's a
on the
good
side.
deal.
Okay.
That's not
all right.
bad. I'm in.
Exactly.
I'm not on this tour for like Bluey fandom. I just want that good deal. I want to find that place so I can get lunch and a drink. That's not true. I love this show.
Do you get fortune cookies with that deal, though? Surely that's a meal deal.
I think you would have to, but with at least as good advice interrelated to what you've just experienced as
I
in
would
the
pay
episode.
$5.50 for that.
Almost like it's the moral to your life at that moment.
Funny that.
Almost like it was scripted.
Oh. This might be backtracking a little bit, but I just can't get over the phone call and just the way it goes. It's such a real phone call. It rings her up, but just kind of puts it on speaker. And he just kind of puts it down and lets the kids explain it. Oh, they forgot the spring rolls. Oh, your dad and spring rolls. Forget them, babe. The kids are probably starving. They hang up and then the little chickie, forget the spring rolls. Is she crazy? And they giggle like that whole jovial playing up in the same way that when they're playing, we've spoken about this on episodes before, when Bluey and Bingo are like playing an imagination game that they've dragged the parents into, sometimes the parents, their characters have romantic interests.
Yep.
The flip side of that is drag them into the play of like, oh, is your mum crazy? And they just giggle. They just love watching and observing adult relationships. I don't know. It's really cute.
There's one other bit in this one where I remember you talking about in the past, Brendan, just the idea of the ways that the writing just subtly hints that family aspect. You know, like you don't like spicy. It just gives it that history. It gives it that,
word that just keeps coming back, Marty, is history. And you nailed it. You were always saying, oh, it alludes to there's this history of this thing. It's like the Japanese garden theory. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Oh, wow. I was wondering when that was going to
explain it to you later, Marty.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That would be good. If you could explain it to me.
Well, I don't know about you fellas, but I could go some takeaway.
I'm bloody hungry, let me tell you.
Geez,
Spring rolls?
You know any good places?
Maybe some dim sims.
Dim Sims? Are you crazy?
Meal deal,
I wanted
$5.
I wanted to make that joke to make a reference, but God, I love dim sims. Well, I know of another place. You can't get food there, but you can get everything else. It's called Hammer Barn.
Oh, yeah.
And we're usually there. Frank, thanks as always, my man.
Pleasure to be here.
Thanks, Marty, for calling in.
No worries.
And thank you, listeners. You're the best. Aisle 300.
Left of the fake grass.
If you hit a flamingo, you've gone too far.